Did you know that certain types of persistent itching might be your body's early warning sign of something much more serious, like cancer? It's common to dismiss occasional itchiness as a minor annoyance, especially for older adults. But when itching occurs in specific areas and there's no clear reason for it, it could be your body's subtle way of signaling a deeper issue. In this video, we're diving into 5 particular spots on the body where unexplained itching has been linked to cancer diagnoses. These aren't just random irritations, they're patterns repeatedly observed in patients who were later found to have conditions such as lymphoma, pancreatic cancer, and even breast or skin cancer. So, stick around until the end. We won't just list locations. We'll explain the science behind the symptoms, explore what types of cancer are commonly associated with each area, and help you understand when an itch is harmless and when it's a sign to dig deeper. By the end, you'll be better equipped to notice red flags, ask the right questions, and take action when necessary. Most importantly, this video isn't meant to alarm. It's meant to empower. When it comes to cancer, early detection often makes all the difference. Paying close attention to small, unusual changes in your body could be the key to catching something serious before it progresses. Let's begin with the first signal: persistent itching in the lower legs. For older adults, an unrelenting itch in the lower legs, particularly the shins and calves, without any visible rash, dryness, or new skincare product involved, might seem like just another quirk of aging. But this very specific symptom has shown up frequently in people later diagnosed with blood cancers like lymphoma. This kind of itch doesn't come and go. It's steady, often worse at night, and regular moisturizers don't seem to help. The reason behind it lies in how certain cancers, especially Hodgkin's lymphoma, affect the immune and lymphatic systems. As abnormal cells spread, they release inflammatory chemicals into the bloodstream. One side effect? A deep, persistent itch that targets the nerves beneath the skin, particularly in the lower limbs. Even when the skin looks perfectly normal, something deeper may be going on. Consider the story of George, a 75-year-old man who spoke at a cancer awareness event. For nearly half a year, his only symptom was an uncontrollable itch on his shins. At first, doctors thought it was eczema or a mild allergy, but after blood tests showed unusual white cell counts and scans revealed swollen lymph nodes in his chest, the true cause was uncovered: lymphoma. The itching started months before anything else, George said. His experience isn't unique. While not every itchy leg points to cancer, there's a crucial distinction. When there's no rash, no environmental trigger, and the discomfort continues for weeks with no relief, it's time to investigate further. This is especially true when combined with other quiet symptoms like night sweats, unexplained fatigue, or weight loss. For older adults, this kind of subtlety is often how the body communicates. The pain may not be immediate. Lumps may be hidden deep inside. But the nervous system reacts, and sometimes it reacts with an itch that refuses to go away. If you or someone close to you has been struggling with nightly itching in the legs, using creams with no success, and feeling like nothing is helping, it's time to stop guessing. Bring it up with your doctor. Request blood tests. Share your observations. Because often, the body speaks in whispers before it ever cries out, and hearing those whispers early could change everything. Let's move to sign 2. Itching between the shoulder blades or upper back. There's a very specific kind of itch that shows up deep in the upper back, right between the shoulder blades. It's often ignored or blamed on bad posture, dry air, or even an old shirt tag. But for many older adults, persistent itching in this exact area, especially when it feels like it's coming from under the skin, has been linked to pancreatic cancer. And the strange part, it often appears months before any noticeable pain or digestive symptoms. Now, the connection might sound odd at first. How could an internal organ like the pancreas cause itching way up on the back? But here's how it works. When pancreatic tumors begin to grow, they can obstruct the bile ducts. those small tubes that help drain bile from the liver into the intestines. When that drainage slows down or stops, bile salts start to build up in the bloodstream, and one of the first things those excess bile salts do is irritate nerve endings, often in areas like the back, where the body stores a dense network of sensory nerves. I remember a woman named Linda, age 70, who told me she had what she called a phantom itch on her upper back. She'd wake up scratching it every night. Nothing helped. Lotions, back scratchers, even changing her mattress. She said it felt like it was coming from the inside. When she finally went in for blood work, originally for unrelated fatigue, her liver enzymes came back elevated. That led to imaging scans, and eventually, they found a small tumor in her pancreas pressing on the bile duct. The scary part? That itch was her only real symptom. No pain, no yellowing of the skin, just a deep, nagging sensation she couldn't shake. And the only reason she caught it early was because she spoke up, even when it felt like a small complaint. This is exactly why that specific area matters. General back itchiness can come from dryness, pressure, or friction. But if the itch is focused, unrelenting, and doesn't improve with skin treatments, especially if you're also noticing darker urine, pale stools, or fatigue, it may be a deeper sign that something's happening internally. Sometimes the back becomes the messenger, even when the problem is in the gut. For older adults, these kinds of subtle symptoms are easy to dismiss. We don't always want to sound dramatic. But your body is wiser than you think, and when it sends you the same signal again and again, it's worth listening, even if it's just an itch. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, comment the number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I highly recommend you do, and turn on the bell so you don't miss any future videos. Your support helps us keep creating helpful content to inform and inspire you. Now, let's move forward. Sign 3. A persistently itchy scalp. Without visible flakes or irritation at first glance, an itchy scalp might not seem like a red flag. For many older adults, it's often blamed on dry skin, cooler weather, or even a change in hair products. But when that itch won't let up, and there's no flaking, redness, or visible irritation, it could be your body's quiet way of alerting you to something deeper going on. In some cases, that underlying issue may be a blood-related cancer such as leukemia, or even early signs of skin cancer developing on the scalp. What separates this kind of itch from everyday dryness is how it feels and behaves. People often describe it as more than just a tickle. It might burn, crawl, or tingle. The sensation may shift from one area to another, and despite switching shampoos, applying oils, or using medicated products, it simply won't go away. In older individuals, this kind of stubborn scalp itch can be a sign of nervous system irritation caused by abnormal immune activity, something that happens when leukemia cells begin to affect how the body manages inflammation. Take Henry, a 73-year-old man who noticed his scalp itching daily in the afternoons. He cycled through different hair products, stopped wearing hats, and even adjusted his diet. Nothing helped. Months later, a blood test he took for unrelated fatigue revealed unusually high white blood cell levels. A follow-up bone marrow test confirmed the diagnosis: early-stage chronic lymphocytic leukemia. That unexplained scalp itch had been the very first clue. Scalp itches are easy to overlook, especially when your skin already feels more sensitive with age. But what distinguishes a potential warning sign from a common nuisance is its persistence and resistance to treatment. When topical solutions don't provide relief, and the itch continues day after day, especially in the same spot, it's worth further investigation. It's also important to consider skin cancers that begin on the scalp, especially in areas where the hair has thinned. These cancers may not start with a visible sore or bump. Sometimes they present only as a mildly irritated patch of skin that doesn't seem serious, but refuses to heal. Since the scalp isn't easy to examine on your own, ask someone you trust, a partner, caregiver, or even your barber, to take a look once in a while. If there's an itch that won't quit and you can't see anything wrong, it might be time to consult a dermatologist, especially if you're also experiencing fatigue, unusual bruising, or other vague changes you can't explain. In the world of early cancer detection, it's often the smallest, most persistent symptoms that matter most. And sometimes that persistent itch is the only sign your body gives you at the start. Sign 4. Itching around the chest or breast that won't go away. When older adults, particularly women but also men, notice a lingering itch around the chest or breast, it's easy to assume it's something harmless. Maybe it's due to sweating, tight clothing, or dry skin. But this specific area is one of the more overlooked zones where persistent itching could signal something far more serious, such as inflammatory breast cancer or growths near the chest wall. What makes this sign especially concerning is that it often appears before any noticeable lump develops. The skin might feel slightly thicker, warmer, or a bit irritated. Occasionally, there's a reddish tint or subtle texture change, but in many cases there's no visual clue at all, just a recurring, localized itch that no lotion can soothe. Ruth, age 69, experienced something like this. She began noticing a daily itch on the side of her right breast. She tried different bras, stopped using scented detergent, even went braless to rule out friction, but the itching remained. When she finally saw her doctor, a faint dimpling in the skin caught their attention. Further testing uncovered a small, fast-growing tumor just beneath the surface, well before any obvious lump had formed. That's one reason inflammatory breast cancer is so dangerous. It doesn't behave like the more common forms. It often disguises itself as irritation or a rash and can progress quickly. The first sign is often not pain or lump, but a nagging itch that keeps returning to the same place. Men should also pay attention here. While male breast cancer is rare, it does occur and often goes undetected because the early signs are subtle. An itchy nipple, a slightly thickened area under the chest, or a consistent twinge in one specific spot could be the only warning, and it's not always about the breast tissue itself. Sometimes the real issue lies in nearby lymph nodes, under the arm, around the collarbone, or deeper in the chest. These can swell silently and cause referred sensations like itching, even before they're large enough to feel. If you notice itching in the same area of your chest or breast that doesn't respond to typical skincare products, and especially if you also feel a sense of warmth, swelling, or heaviness in that region, take it seriously. Early detection doesn't always come through a scan. Often, it begins with something as simple as recognizing that your skin is sending a message. And in this case, a persistent itch may be one of the most important messages of all. Now, let's move forward. Sign 5. Ongoing itching in the anal or genital area. It's one of the most sensitive topics and one of the most frequently overlooked. Persistent itching around the anal or genital region can be deeply uncomfortable, yet many older adults avoid bringing it up. It's easy to dismiss as a hygiene issue, a skin reaction, or just part of getting older. But when the itch becomes ongoing, when it stays despite your best efforts to treat it, it might be pointing to something more serious. This type of itching, especially when there's no rash or visible cause, can sometimes be an early sign of cancers like anal, vulvar, or penile cancer. The tricky part? It rarely announces itself loudly. Instead, it masks as minor discomfort, maybe irritation from toilet paper, chafing from clothing, or side effects from incontinence pads. But if the itch doesn't improve, if it seems to burn, linger, or grow more intense over time, and especially if it's concentrated in one specific spot, it's worth taking seriously. Eugene, 76, believed he was dealing with a lingering case of hemorrhoid discomfort. For nearly a year, he cycled through ointments, changed his diet, and used ice packs. While the symptoms would ease for a bit, they never fully disappeared. Finally, he sought out a colorectal specialist. A thorough examination revealed a small lesion deep inside the anal canal, an early-stage tumor. Thanks to his decision to follow up, the cancer was found before it advanced further. The same story plays out for women, too. Vulvar cancer, though uncommon, becomes more likely after the age of 60. One of the first signs? A chronic itch near the vulva that doesn't respond to the usual creams or moisturizers. The skin may feel slightly different, rougher, thinner, or even slightly discolored, but there may be no visible lump or sore at first. Often, older women chalk it up to postmenopausal changes or dryness, and sometimes that's true. But if the itching persists for weeks or months, worsens at night, or focuses on one small area, don't write it off. The nerves in this region are highly responsive. They're tuned to subtle changes, whether it's a shift in skin health, swelling beneath the surface, or irritation linked to cell changes. That's why an itch here can sometimes be the first sign of deeper activity, well before anything shows up in a routine checkup. Unfortunately, the discomfort of the symptom is often matched by the discomfort of discussing it. But speaking up can make all the difference. Early detection, especially for these rare but aggressive cancers, hinges on paying attention to your body's quiet warnings. So remember this. If an itch in this area doesn't improve or goes away and comes right back, especially when no treatment seems to help, it's time to get it checked. Even something that feels small or awkward to mention could be the first clue that leads to a much-needed answer. Final thoughts. Before we end, I want to leave you with something important. Your body doesn't always shout when something's wrong. Sometimes it starts with a whisper, a small sensation you might overlook, a twinge, a patch of rough skin, a persistent itch. That's why every signal matters. Today, we walked through 5 areas of the body: the lower legs, the upper back, the scalp, the chest, and the genital region, where itching can sometimes be much more than skin deep. These areas aren't chosen at random. They're places where certain cancers, especially in older adults, tend to send their earliest and quietest messages. You don't need to be afraid. This isn't about living in fear. It's about awareness. It's about knowing that your intuition matters. When something feels off, when something lingers and resists all the usual fixes, it's okay to ask more questions, because catching something early doesn't always start with technology or testing. It starts with noticing. So if any part of today's video felt familiar to you, if something we discussed rang a little bell in your memory, don't ignore it. Talk to your doctor. Get that checkup. Open the door to answers. You deserve that peace of mind. Thank you for joining us today. If something in this video helped you or gave you new insight, we'd love to hear from you in the comments. Share one thing that stood out and how it might shape the way you listen to your body going forward. And if you haven't already, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who might need it. Your support allows us to continue creating thoughtful, informed content designed to empower and protect. Until next time, stay curious, stay aware, and take good care of yourself. We'll see you again soon.